This is one thing I want to warn you about. I think, like I said, it still feels like a bit of a black box, and if something weird comes out, don't just blindly follow it. Keep in mind that you did user research and why things are happening. If you don't, things like this are happening and AI takes a decision and then this happens, and it's not something you want to happen to your website. Probably everyone's wondering this, so we at Euroflorist do the same. How can we make the next step? And how can we maximize the outputs with the limited resources we have? We have some people working on improving stuff, of course, we all do, but we always want more people, more money. We don't have it. How can we go faster through the loops we have? Can be this loop, can be the fact and act loop that online dialogue has, can be any loop, doesn't matter. How can we do this faster? We want to improve faster. Because I think conversion optimization is hard. Who here does A/B testing for daily work? It's hard, right? At least if you got all the easy stuff out of the way, it's tough. It doesn't happen on itself. And most people, most websites still, we optimize for the average user. We do our tests and then implement everything for everyone and then hope it works. And like I said, we need more resources. Everyone does. And there's too many variables that have impact on that conversion during the test. It's horrible. Everything has an impact on my test. The devices people use. We have holiday peaks. We have Mother's Day upcoming next Sunday. Buy your flowers online at Euroflorist. But that's impacting how things are converting on our website. It's horrible. The weather doesn't do anything for us, but we have seen websites that the weather impacts the conversion rate. Day of the week, the platform. It's horrible. And many variables, but they also keep changing. It's terrible. People don't keep doing the same thing. For example, in Euroflorist, we are in 12 countries, Swedish company. But in Norway, Norwegian people are rich. Norwegian people know they are rich. So giving discounts to Norwegian people, that's an insult, so conversion goes down. That's what we saw 5 years ago. Right now, there's a new generation coming up and discounts do have an effect on that generation. So it's not only a different variable, it also keeps changing and people use mobile differently. And when people send flowers, 5 years ago, it's a gifting company mainly. The person sending the flowers doesn't see the actual flowers, it's going to someone else. So if that bouquet is a bit different, doesn't really matter. But nowadays, when you receive a bouquet, what people do, hey, that's nice, click, send, and the person that sent the flowers sees, hey, this is a bit different than I actually sent. Let's complain about that. That's not really helpful. So this is how I feel most of the time. So who is Euroflorist? Just to give you some context, why do we exist? This is our why. We help people to make others happy, noticed, and remembered. There's no flowers in there. It's a Swedish company doing this for a long time. We didn't have a website back then, but Euroflorist did have one of the first 100 e-commerce websites, so they were there fairly quickly. Dutch office here in Amsterdam. 21 years in e-commerce. Since last year, the majority of the revenue comes from online. We have over 200 employees. We send a lot of bouquets every year. We are in 19 sites in 12 countries. A lot of users. Conversion rate is really nice when you're A/B testing. Over 20% conversion rate on our website. That really helps. Market share, depending on the country. It's really high in Sweden. It's much lower in the Netherlands. Here we have a lot of competition. Top Bloemen, Fleurop. Usually people are quite happy with us. And we're growing teams, taking market share. So that's a good position to be at. Oh, yeah, that's me. I run the optimization team, part of the online team, but we're also more and more looking at other areas of the company, looking at the full customer journey. So what are we doing right now with customer optimization? We're forming business teams, couples, one business owner from the business, not from my team, combined with one person from my team, and they optimize certain parts of the customer journey. They form teams and they are responsible for optimizing that part of the customer journey. To go faster through this loop, we need more people. We need to have more resources. And this is how we do that right now. When we have an idea for optimization, from data, from research, we have an idea, create a hypothesis, go to a full testing plan, go to a design phase, an approval phase of that test, and then we test it, usually for around 4 weeks on our website. Then the test is completed, and then we have a finished report. Okay, that's and then we repeat that. We use effective experiments for this, for help with its process, and to document, and we use Convert for A/B testing. Not to promote, but that's usually the questions I get. Which tools do you use? But still, how can we make that next step? How are others doing this? I mean, let's not figure out everything ourselves. Let's look at how others are doing things. Always Booking is always a good example. So Evercore Equity Research thinks Booking is doing a good job, so let's look at them. So they do a lot of testing, but the counterintuitive thing, if the more tests you do, the less successful you will be per test. And especially with Booking, they have a really optimized site, so it's really hard to get a successful test out of that. To compare, at Euroflorist, 1 in 5 tests we do, A/B tests we do, we have an uplift. Booking, 1 in 10 sites. I think 1 in 5 is already pretty good, but it probably will go down, actually. So the success rate is expected to go down. Do more tests. So that's what Booking is doing. We do 10 to 20 tests at every given moment. Booking over 1,000. Okay. But yeah, resources. That's an issue. I'm not going to match that. But we do know something, just as Booking, we do know something about experiments. So let's do an experiment on the way we experiment. Instead of regular A/B testing, we wanted to start for another, to look for another solution. And we came across this. Well, sounded cool, so let's go. If you want to read more about AI, definitely read this book. And there are many applications for AI, of course. There's not one way of doing this. A lot of areas you can apply AI, and we picked the last one, improved optimization process. We already tried catalog optimization. We did that with rich relevance, but it was the tool was hard for the e-commerce managers to work with. It was perceived as a black box. Something was happening. It was optimizing something, and it should have done something, but we didn't know what something was. So we didn't know why it did what it did. The e-commerce managers had no perceived control. What it did, the catalog optimization, it just rearranged the order of products in the catalog, and we couldn't prove the conversion rate uplift. So yeah, a lot of effort, didn't do anything. We removed it. But can it help with the optimization process? Can it increase conversion? Does it speed up this cycle? Can we do it faster with the resources we have? Can it give better insights? Is it still a black box? Will it always be a black box, or can we get some learnings from it? Then we came across Sentient. Sentient Ascent, that's the name of the tool. that we use for this is an American company, an implementation partner, Online Dialogue, that's helping us with setting up the test, managing the tool, managing Sentient. And they've been doing this for, it's not completely new. They've been doing it for some time now, but not with e-commerce. They've been doing it in other areas. They've been doing it in agriculture, finance, healthcare. That's where they got their algorithms from. It worked really well there. So now they want to know, does it work for e-commerce? This is, of course, what we're looking for. Want to have it more efficient, should save time, and of course, have greater impact. We want to have more conversion. We want to sell more. And basically what it does, if you know multivariate testing, that's basically what it does. It does multivariate testing. A lot of variants at the same time, but it adds an evolutionary aspect. It adds generations. It does a multivariate test, and then different generations of it. So you change a lot of elements on your page, add evolution, test them on their fitness, just like you would do with any other multivariate test. And after a couple of rounds, it also combines different variations. It doesn't test all the variations at the same time. It uses its algorithm to have a smart way where you can test different elements, different combinations, so you can do that with less traffic. And it also mutates. It randomly changes things. So first generation, how it would look, variant A to I. Then you see one is positive, one doesn't do anything, there's minus, plus, doesn't do anything, plus, plus. Then you go, okay, these are the good ones. Let's go to the next generation. Let's combine things, see how that works, select the best ones, go to the next generation, select the correct one, and we have a winner. That's roughly how it works. So the site is continuously changing all elements all the time to come to a right combination. We tested it on one page, but you can do it on multiple pages. But we wanted to test a bit more simple, so we tested it on the product detail page. And these are some brands currently experimenting. They're in the beta trial. So yeah, how's it going? What we're doing? We selected 3 countries for the trial. We selected Norway, Sweden, and the Netherlands, because what I wanted to know, I think the algorithm, AI, sounds machine learning. You need a lot of data for that. But what I want to know, when A/B testing in a small country, and the Netherlands is a country where we are quite small relatively to the other countries, so I want to know, does it also work for a small country where A/B testing is hard because of lower traffic, lower conversions? Does AI help me test way more in a country with small traffic? And in Sweden, I think if we have a lot of traffic, high conversion, it's easier for an algorithm to work. We did a workshop with Online Dialogue on January 19th. We selected the elements we wanted to test. We selected 8 elements on the page. We created different variants for them. And a little note on that, we created variants based on the user research we do. We do user research every month. We of course have a lot of data in Google Analytics. We use Hotjar, and that's what we base those variants on. So we didn't just randomly change things. We did pick the elements we thought could have an actual impact. Because we think if you put crap in the algorithm, crap will come out. It doesn't really work. That's a hypothesis we have. We will test this actually. We started out with having good user research based variants, but we do want to test this actually. So we're gonna maybe get some people from the street, create variants based on what they think, see how that works. That's gonna be the next phase. So we select 8 elements, 2 variants each. And what you see on the left is the current page. What you see on the right is the page with a lot of elements changed. You see the USB part changed. We have a progress bar. We switched the image, of course. The content of this also changed. So, 19th of January we had the first workshop. First baseline was active on end of February, and the baseline is meant nothing changes on the website, but the baseline is meant to train the system what is happening. That should have lasted for a month, I think, or these 2 weeks. It was a bit later. So we went live on March 20 with after the baseline with the actual test, and it's still going. We're not finished yet. We have reached the second generation in the Netherlands. We have reached the third generation in Sweden and Norway. And it's a bit weird because you enable the system and it's an AI, it's machine learning. So the system decides when it goes to the next generation. And I also have no idea how long the test will run. Probably a couple of more weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, but we actually don't know. That's a bit weird. Current status in the Netherlands. What you see here is the dashboard from Sentient. Especially the first time, you have no idea what's going on, but it looks really cool. The light blue are the variants. That's the previous generation. The darker blue is the next generation. The orange dots, that's the baseline. And what you see here in the first generation, we had an increase of 3.3 percent point. 17% uplifting conversion, and second generation 2.5 percent point and 12.7% lift. So that's pretty good. This is Sweden, second generation versus third generation. Third generation performing less than the second generation. I think they warned us from that. This is gonna happen. So that's normal behavior. It's learning from that. It's testing weird combinations to see what's happening. And Norway. Yeah, and if you sell millions of bouquets a year, this is quite a lot of money that we gain by doing this. So that makes my manager really happy. Some final thoughts. There's merit to regular A/B testing, of course, and I don't. At least right now, I don't think AI testing will replace regular A/B testing. You'll still, with regular A/B testing, you can create the hypothesis. You can strictly test what is happening there. The downside, it is slow, depending on how you define slow. The Sentient allows us to test 265, 56 variants at the same time. That's what we're doing right now. They say they can go up to millions of variants testing at the same time. So the time per variant is much faster. But of course, regular A/B testing, less variants, needs more traffic per variant. And of course, we all have limited test capacity. Testing with AI, on the other hand, and you also with regular A/B testing, when you need to make a choice between, okay, should we do A, B, maybe C, D, E, whatever. Those are variations you create based on the research and what you think is best. But when you have a massive multivariate testing, you can add much more variants that you thought, well, it's probably not going to work, but it actually does work. So you have more chance of adding the right variables. Requires less traffic, but still quite a lot. We see in the Netherlands it is not working that well. It's only in the second generation, and we had to push it to the second generation instead of the system automatically doing this. So might not have enough power to do this in low traffic countries. Downside, extensive setup process. Took us, it's a trial, so it took us 2 months to get in. We still perceive it as a bit of a black box. It's optimizing in the background. It feels really nice. I have to do nothing now, and we're earning money, more money. That's really great, but I'm not sure what's happening exactly. That's maybe I'm too much of a control freak that way, but again, garbage in, garbage out. That's what we're really expecting. And this one, right now, I was off beginning of this week. We have Mother's Day Sunday. It's always a really high stress moment for our e-commerce managers. We have one e-commerce manager for each country. And something changing on their websites is what freaks them out if they didn't do it themselves. So having 256 different variants of a page really freaks them out. So internally selling this is really important for this one. It really, people that don't really understand A/B testing or statistics in general, it's really hard to show them how this is working. Luckily, their manager is also plugged into the actual results this is gaining them, so their manager says, no, we keep it on. But proving this even during the process really is really necessary. This is one thing I want to warn you about. I think, like I said, it still feels like a bit of a black box, and if something weird comes out, don't just blindly follow it. Keep in mind that you did user research and why things are happening. If you don't, things like this are happening and AI takes a decision and then this happens, and it's not something you want to happen to your website. So does it deliver on their promise? Faster and more efficient per variant, certainly. Overall, it takes a bit more time. We're still in the learning process of doing this cycle faster, but we're definitely testing way more variants than we did before. So that's good. Time saving. Well, we still spend the same amount of money and time as we did before, but we're testing much more, so we're saving time per variant. And greater impact, we definitely see, you've seen the conversion numbers, we definitely see higher conversion numbers from this than from regular A/B tests. So in that sense, it definitely helps. Presentation of the full results will be done here. As I said, we don't have the final results yet. I also don't know when we have, like I said, so I'm not sure if we're going to make it. I hope so. Or just follow me on Twitter and then we'll publish it there. And of course, this is a question going around a lot. Does AI will it replace everyone? Maybe in the future, but right now I think the best answer to this is that we're hiring. So if you're interested, let us know. It's on the website.